Hello and welcome to Watch the Game podcast. It's your boy L.A. Cheatham.
Yeah, Benjamin Banneker. We back.
Yeah, we back, but we kind of playing from behind now, man. We got a lot to catch up on.
Yeah. Well, we like the Bulls, so the glory years Bulls, 90s.
The Game 6 Bulls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the ones that came back, from 20. Who was that? Hansen that got the game going.
Yeah, versus Portland in '92.
Yeah, hit the big shot. Yeah. They got the Doberman defense going, and the Bulls came back and won Game 6.
Right. Well,
I think that was Game 6.
It was. Yeah. So we don't do Game 7s around here.
Yeah, you're right. I kind of get that game mixed up with the game when Mike hit all the threes.
That's Game 1.
Okay.
That was Game 1.
Game 1 or Game 2?
That was Game 1.
Okay.
We lost 2.
Okay. Well, nevertheless, we're gonna talk about Mike later on in the year. But we are playing from behind officially here on the Watch the Game podcast because we left and we've been gone for quite a while.
Yeah.
So much has happened since we left all around sports. We're talking about it from the NBA to the NFL. So much has happened. I've even gotten into some of the more, more popular extreme sports. When I say stuff like that, I'm talking about stuff we may not talk about a lot.
You ain't watching Indy 500 now.
No, I didn't watch the Indy. I didn't watch the Indy. But man, I watched Ric Flair's last match.
Who did he fight? I seen the clip.
Look here, I have to look back because I only seen
on AEW, right?
Yeah, I only seen kind of highlights of it.
Yeah.
But it led me to think that damn, he shouldn't have did that. Flair came out with a robe on and a t-shirt up under the robe. I'm like, see,
it's too late.
That's the first sign that you shouldn't be out there.
It's too old. It's over with. Yeah.
That's just that I've been able to expand my horizons, tap into my childhood a little bit, watch a little wrestling. But Flair should have stayed his ass out of that. But nevertheless, he done it. I think Flair like 70.
Because when you think of Ric Flair, it's Four Horsemen and WCW and.
Yeah, but it's the mystique.
Limousine riding.
It was the mystique of Ric Flair. It was like, I mean, he wasn't downtrodden and old man. He was a kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. And he most definitely wasn't doing that in that match.
No, that was a long time ago.
Rick could have just stayed out of there. I felt kind of the same way I did about Mike going back and playing with the Wizards.
Yeah.
And I just felt like Mike, as I gotten older, I appreciated it for what it was when it happened. As a matter of fact, I was excited.
Me too.
But that night when Mike played that return game, it was the Washington Wizards playing against the New York Knicks.
The first game of the season.
And I was fired up about that.
Yeah.
But when the ball tipped off, I'm like, immediately realized that something about this wasn't right.
It wasn't Mike.
It wasn't right.
Yeah.
And then when he went to putting that down, when he went to playing with the leggings,
the leg sleeve,
I'm like, it's really getting out of hand. Mike should have never done that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So Mike should have never went back and played for the Wizards in my final, even though he has a pretty good game. And I definitely believe Ric Flair should have stayed his ass. I mean, he probably made a little change, but he probably should have stayed his ass.
It's been over for Rick for a long time.
We might have to look up Rick age, but I think he's trying to make it a solid 50 years of wrestling, and I think that's why he did it. But nevertheless, we are back, and so is Ric Flair. That was his retirement match, but we have so much to catch up on. It's one of the best times of the year.
73. He's
73 years old. See, there you go. So in 1972, I believe he started wrestling, and this year, which makes it 50 years. I think he just put out a statement saying that in September or late August of 1972, he had his first match. So I'm thinking that meant it gave him 50 years right there.
50 years in the
game.
Yeah.
So just don't come back, Rick, but 50 years in the game for Ric Flair, I mean, who else can say that? Hulk Hogan can't say that.
No.
For as big as a success as he was in our childhood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hulk's reign was over late 90s?
Something like that. No, maybe what did they do? The NWO thing. Was that in the early 2000s?
I think that was late 90s.
Okay.
Late 90s.
When he was with WCW, and they did the New World Order. Him, Kevin Nash, and the boy.
And Scott Hall. Shout out, rest in peace, Scott Hall.
Yeah. So that just let you know, I mean, that was some of the things we grew up on, and I had time to kind of catch up on them things as we were not, filming and stuff like that. But here we are, back, ready to watch the game. As you can see, our Bears will be kicking off soon. There's so much to cover up with them. The Bears have been changing by the day as far as the roster and the injury reports. I don't even know what to expect when you talk about going to the Bears situation.
You know what? I don't either. I mean, we got the new regime coming in with Eberflus. They call him Flus. And what's the GM? Ryan Poles.
Ryan Poles.
Yeah,
we still got a Matt and we still got a Ryan.
Right. So
they just changed the last name.
That don't make me feel too good. But new regime coming in, so we want to see what they do. A lot of times when you get new regimes coming in, they want their own guys in there, so it's interesting to see how they're going to handle Justin Fields going forward. Although we both believe Justin Fields is the answer at quarterback in Chicago for the next decade or so. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know a lot of the pundits kind of down on the Bears this year, thinking it's just going to be a turn the page here. I don't really have that feeling. I kind of think the division is wide open, especially with Devontae Adams leaving and going to the Raiders. Aaron Rodgers been doing peyote and all the psychedelic drugs he been doing. I actually think it's wide open. So I kind of got the Vikings sneaking in to win it, but I don't think we're going to finish at the bottom of the division. I think we're going to contend for a playoff spot.
Give it I understand. Don't forget, Aaron Rodgers is still the best quarterback in this division.
In football, you could say.
He might, you might want to put him at the top between him and Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. You might want to consider him one of the top. He is the returning MVP. We got to say that.
Yeah.
So what I don't understand is, I think the Lions won 3 games last year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I think Vikings, I can't remember how many games they won. But what I don't understand is, and I know the Lions play hard in every game, and I guess you can draw from that and give you something what to expect in the next season. But I don't see how you can take a team that won 3 games, and then some people actually think that they're going to be like a contender for some damn reason. I don't understand. I mean, some of these things you just got to let it play out.
Yeah.
And everybody just want to be the first to say, I told you so, I guess.
Exactly. You notice I didn't mention the Lions, even though they got Aiden Hutchinson. Shout out to Aiden Hutchinson and the Billie Jean rendition he did on Hard Knocks. That was fire. Go Blue. But yeah, I don't think they going to take that big of a step. What, we won 5 games last year?
We won 6.
We won 6 games.
Won 6, yeah.
And I think it's more talent there on the Bears than the national media is giving us credit for. I'm not that down on the wide receiver corps,
Well, I'm not either because one of the downsides is they do have some key injuries to some guys that they acquired. Pringle's injured, and guy they brought in from New England, he ended up getting
N'Keal Harry.
He ended up getting surgery, which might put him out for at least, I think I'm gonna say maybe first 4 games of the season. They did put him on injury reserve. Pringle, I'm not sure. He may be able to come back a little sooner. So, but the end of the day, we haven't seen them play. Those guys.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Velus Jones. And like I said, I don't even want to get into the roster because so much can change between now and the time they play San Francisco. They playing musical chairs with the offensive line alone.
Still, yeah.
I mean, they still going out and get guys. I don't want to timestamp myself by saying so much about the roster as much as I am about what we know. We know Justin Fields is the starting quarterback. We know David Montgomery. We know Darnell Mooney. And on the defensive end, we know that you got Roquan Smith, Robert Quinn, and Jason, Johnson, Jalen Johnson.
Yeah.
But there's so many other things that's up in the air about this roster. But if you look at the preseason games, you know they want to get the run game going. They want to cater more to what
which we haven't seen
Yeah.
in the last 2 years.
And when they did do it last year, in the last few years, they did it well, but
They went away from it.
yeah, Matt Nagy didn't want to continue to do those things. He didn't want to, he didn't want to win like that. He was more concerned about what it looked like. He just didn't want to win like that. But the defense is going from a 3-4 to a 4-3, kind of like what Lovey did when he was around. But like I said, I don't want to get too far into the Bears because there's so much to cover with the Bears in the offseason. So many different things that happen all the way up to training camp, from whether or not Robert Quinn wanted to be traded, whether or not he would even participate. And he showed that he was a team. He wanted to be a team player. What I found out about Robert Quinn is he don't really like all the spotlight.
He just want to go ball.
Yeah, he just want to go ball, and he understands the business. If he get traded, he get traded, but he didn't get him any indication that that's what he wanted. Then you go from there to Tevin Jenkins. The Tevin Jenkins thing. He's not. He's immature. All these different types of opinions that's forming out of camp. He went from being immature to they giving him a break, and he working through some injuries to he come back and they move him to right guard, and all of a sudden he just started right guard. So then you go from that to Roquan Smith and his thing. No agent, trying to negotiate his own contract, and just so much to talk about. And it's just like it's so time captured. So much time capture information to the point where what's the use in talking about it? Because we're gonna watch the game eventually, and
that's what we predicate on. What happens on the field? We could get into all the transactions and the movement. Yeah, we evaluate the depth chart when it's set, but until then, like we just we throwing stones at the wall. Like
you got that right.
When kickoff come and we take on the San Francisco 49ers, that's when we make our money and make our bare bones about what we think about Chicago Bears football.
That's when I think things will take shape. On the positive note, throughout the preseason, we didn't see Justin Fields take a lot of snaps, get a lot of opportunities to show in the first 2 preseason games. But in the third one, he showed, and the whole offense showed us something. It gave us something to look forward to. And not to get too high on that, it was just something to look forward to.
And what we said about Justin, we said this off camera. He seems like the type of guy that rises to the occasion when there's extra motivation. He was back in Ohio when they played the Browns. You can't tell me that ain't played a part into his performance. He threw 3 touchdowns in the first half. Yeah. And then coming up playing the San Francisco 49ers week 1, Trey Lance was taking, 8 picks ahead of Justin Fields? Yeah. And from playing at North Dakota State. Mm-hmm. And Justin Fields had played in the college football playoffs 2 years in a row.
Trying to win the national championship 2 years in a row. Yeah.
And you take this guy over it. So
he gonna have a little. I hope he have a little chip on his shoulder. From all indications from draft night,
yeah,
lets us
and
know
he was pissed
when he got picked that night that he had a chip on his shoulder. We seen him play with a chip on his shoulder when he was matched up against Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. So he's used to being put in these situations where he's got to be matched up with the guy, his nemesis, or the guy, one of his peers, that either graduated in his high school class or got recruited out of his high school class to the same year, and now the same draft class. And then, like you said, 9 picks ahead of him. So, yeah, I think he'll come out with a chip on his shoulder. He might want to have something to prove to the 49ers, like, y'all pass me up, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, he's going to take a page out of, the greatest basketball player of all time. He's going to take that personally.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up Mike, because I got a lot of, I would like to, hopefully they'll stay consistent, but I got a lot of comparisons to Mike. Not necessarily, he got a lot to prove on the field, but I mean, just his approach off the field, it reminds me a lot about when Michael Jordan came to Chicago. His expectations of the team, his expectations of himself. Justin wants to be great. Mm-hmm. And I can see that he really wants to be great, but the franchise is going to have to back him up on that by giving him weapons sooner or later.
Well, I mean, Ted Phillips out of there now, so maybe that's That's the changing of the guard. He's been with the Bears 40 years, so.
Yeah, that's a big misconception too that people have. A lot of people think that Ted Phillips was making decisions about the roster when I've heard repeatedly that wasn't the case. He was more managing the money, and the GMs we've had over the years, they were the ones flipping the roster. He just approved the paychecks and cut the deals like the Soldier Field deals and the up and coming Arlington Heights deal. I've been under the understanding that Ted Phillips was the McCaskey's money guy. Take care of our money, invest our money, do good things with our money, don't lose our money. So that's my impression of Ted Phillips, and he's set to retire. A lot of people happy about that, but I mean that's the Arlington Heights project coming up soon.
Let me just get you on record. What you think gonna happen with that Arlington Heights? Because you know the city, the mayor just put in the new bid or the plans for redoing Soldier Field, making it a dome, so we can get Super Bowl and Final Four and all that. Do you think the Arlington Heights?
It's an insult. Okay. It's an insult because 20 years ago that would have been fine. 25 years ago that would have been fine.
Yeah.
We're in a new day time of sports franchises controlling their own destiny. And when I say that, I mean not just the game you pay tickets to see, but you got to pay for the parking. You got to, the whole ambiance of going to the game as far as the vending, the parking, the hotels. They want a piece of all of that.
Yeah, like the Dallas Cowboys got.
You look around the league, it's going in that direction in sports, period.
Yeah.
Okay? And I believe that's how the Bears want to go. Like I say, putting a dome on the top of that's an insult. Because it's way bigger than just covering the place up. It's all about what's happening outside of the football games. Those 8 to 10 football games that we host is way bigger than that. That's how I think the Bears are looking at it. Like, we want a piece of all the action.
Right. Yeah, I'm just because they've been at Soldier Field so long, that would be different for us to see a play out in Arlington. So I kind of want them to stay in Soldier Field for that reason alone. But at the same time, like, that's a lot of, I think, Bears fans' problem and the organization problem. We too nostalgic. We too 85 Bears. We got to turn the page and we got to do something new.
Well, I understand that. But me for one, I'm ready to move on because I wouldn't mind going to the Bears game and, by the way, making it a whole weekend event. A 2-day event, meaning you got a museum, whatever. How they gonna do it? A Hall of Fame? It's the Bears, Illinois.
That's the name of it.
That's cool with me. You know what I'm saying? I can make it a 2-day event. You know what I'm saying? I can go party with the Bear fans. I can be in the hotel with the Bear fans. I don't mind that because that's the direction that the league is going. I want it to be a totally different experience for myself. And by the way, I don't want to have to line up to go in the restrooms anymore. So now, and let's get this thing going. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Let's get the hell out of Soldier Field. Putting the dome on it does nothing for me. It's an insult. And when you talk about that, just get them the hell out of Soldier Field. I'm moving to the new millennium.
To Bears, Illinois.
Yeah, to Bears,
You
Illinois.
heard it here first. Bears, Illinois. That's what we dub in. Wherever the Bears gonna play at in the Chicagoland area, Bears, Illinois.
Well, I heard that used on the score. I forgot.
No, we taking it.
Okay, we can take it. We can take it if you want it, but I've heard someone else use it. Now, when you talk about the Bears matching up with the 49ers, you expecting the Bears maybe pull that game out?
I'm expecting Justin Fields to pull that game out. This ain't got nothing to do with the Bears. This got everything to do with number one and what's on his shoulder pads and his mental makeup of how he feels, quote unquote, slighted by the Trevor Lawrences of the world, the Trey Lances of the world. Justin Fields is winning.
Well, I feel you. I think the whole team should have a chip on their shoulder because the national media ain't expecting them to be the worst team in the league this year. So everybody should be motivated. Now, don't get me wrong. We understand that Justin Fields got that chip on the shoulder from being drafted in his position. But if you look at the national media, they have not been like pouting on Justin Fields much. They've been kind of praising him.
And they down on the roster.
But they're down on the rest of the team. And they're kind of saying that they're going to be, the worst team in the league. And I think that based on what we've seen in the preseason, they got this HITS. Have you heard about it? The HITS acronym.
Okay.
And I could be wrong about it. But they got a way that they want to play football.
Okay.
Okay. And it's all based around this HITS acronym. It's like the team is following this, and this is what's going to help them play better football.
Brought in.
Yeah, this is something he implemented. It was implemented from the day one.
Okay.
And it's a philosophy. And if you base it on how you look at the preseason games, they've been living up to it. And I don't have it with me now. And if I explain it to you, we could follow the preseason and be like, if they take this into the regular season, they should be competitive.
Right.
So one of them is taking care of the football. Okay? Controlling what you can control. Playing good in situational football. And it seems like they've bought into this concept of playing football. We saw this in the preseason. And if they play like this week in and week out, we're going to see something different from what everyone else is expecting. Competitive football is what I expect from the Bears football team.
That's your baseline for it. This being how you rate the season. If you see a competitive football team on the field,
let's say that. For the Bears to be successful, number one thing is we have to know that Justin Fields is absolutely our quarterback. We know we got the man at that position.
Mm-hmm.
And just to see progress every week, meaning we in every game, we got a chance to win every game. And win or lose, as long as I see them two things, that's a success for me. Because we got a lot of money coming in next year. Cap space, and then if they don't finish too strong, we got the draft capital we're gonna be getting back. I just want to see a competitive football team. I want to be in every game.
Right, it's early right now, so I'm optimistic. I think how many teams make the playoffs? 7 on East Conference.
Maybe 7 or 8 teams.
I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs, but come December, I still want to be relevant. I don't want them to be talking about, well, the Bears still got a chance. They mathematically still. No, not that. Not mathematically alive. I still want to be playing. When I turn the game on Sunday, I want to be like, I'm watching this because
it matters.
It matters, right? I'm not watching this just because we talk about it.
In week 10 and week 12.
I want to be. This matters. We need this. This is important. That's what I want to see. And like I said before, the national media is so down on the Bears and the roster and everything. I think we're a lot better than what the national media is projecting, and I just want that to come out on the field. So next year, we challenge it for a division.
We got money to spend.
We challenge for the division. Maybe we win a playoff game next year, and then 2 years out now, maybe we contending for the whole thing.
When you talk about the division, I think so much control of the division outside of when you play them head to head is Aaron Rodgers losing Devontae Adams and some other receivers on the team, but he literally lost what a lot of people consider to be.
Scantling is gone.
Yeah.
We got him now. Aquemini St. Brown.
St. Brown.
I know that ain't his real name, but Aquemini Outcast. Shout out Andre 3000, the big boy. Yeah. He's on our squad now, so he lost some pieces. So we really gonna see is Aaron Rodgers. He can just take anybody.
Yeah, because I remember I said back on previous shows that he could have took me and you, I think, and won the game.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna actually see how he adjusts to the talent that's around him after he's lost with what a lot of people think was the best wide receiver in the game last season or previous seasons, Devontae Adams and going to Las Vegas. How that's going to affect the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. And depending on how that goes, I think it's kind of a toss-up with the rest of the division because I'm not a believer in the Vikings. I'm not a believer in the Lions.
The Vikings, they got a very solid defense. They got Justin Jefferson. They got Thielen still there. They still got Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has not went over the running back hill yet. Kirk Cousins is really, that's the question mark.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, are we going to get...
If they want to if throughout the league you want to put so much emphasis on the quarterback position, well, we cannot discredit the fact that they have Kirk Cousins. We cannot discredit the fact that that the Lions have, what's his name? The guy that
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You can't... It's like, okay, who's the second most talented quarterback in NFC North? A lot of people would say that that's Justin Fields.
That's what I was going. Like when you break it down like that, yes.
So I mean, I think based on how Aaron Rodgers adjusted the talent around him, it dictates what is going on in the rest of the division, and that's how I'm going to see it. If he comes out and he's Aaron Rodgers, then it's obvious he's going to be the Packers will be the best team in the division.
It's his division to lose.
Now, when you say Justin going out and winning on his own, I don't know if he's that good yet because he hasn't seen enough. But Aaron Rodgers is good enough to go out and pick apart the defense with his eyes. Okay? So he's the one quarterback in our division that can do that.
Except when it comes to January, but that's a different that's a different topic.
Well, give him the NFC Championship game at home, he might, lose it. But But when he's playing against the Bears, when he plays against the Vikings, when he plays against the Lions, I mean, that's probably the weakest division in football. And with one of the best quarterbacks in football.
Yeah, true. The other, what would we say, the AFC South, that's kind of weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, it depends on this division rides on the arm and the vision of Aaron Rodgers.
It's his division.
I don't want to say it, or I don't think it'll be anything other than that.
I'm with that. I see.
So I'm gonna go. If we had to pick, I'm gonna go with the Bears. Emotionally, I'm gonna go with the Bears by 3 against San Francisco.
Okay. All right, and that home team is what 3. They get 3 points for being a home team when you betting against the spread. I'm gonna say they pull it out and they win by 7 to 10 points.
Okay, I take
7 to 10 points.
Okay, before we wrap up now, the interesting thing about the 49ers is all the talk coming into preseason, into training camp was trading Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Well, they restructured Jimmy Garoppolo's contract.
And he get like $6 million or something like that.
The money he getting ain't the question to me. What I'm thinking is they restructured his contract, which means they kept him.
Right?
Well, all the vibes we were getting from San Fran and the national media was they were trying to get rid of him, which is no doubt they were trying to trade him.
Yeah.
Okay, so is the reason why they restructured his contract because they couldn't trade him, or is it because we still have questions about Trey Lance's development?
I'm gonna go with the first notion, as in they couldn't trade him. You cannot have Jimmy G on the bench making $20 million a year, and you got the rookie who you just said, this is the franchise going forward, this is what we got. You can't have it. So they had to restructure that deal. And with Jimmy G, he was in such a position, ain't nobody want him, no quarterbacks got hurt. It was like, he wanted to get released.
He just coming off some type of
surgery, right? And he wanted to get released. They wasn't gonna do that because they was thinking like, we got Jimmy G, we can get some draft capital, something back for him. So they came to the agreement. They redid his deal, but I think they might have opened the can of worms. Because what do you do if by week 6, 7, Trey Lance is not showing the process or the progression that you want? San Francisco they was in the NFC Championship game last year.
Yep.
You got a lot of veterans on that team. That defense is a Super Bowl caliber defense. So what do you do in that scenario when your defensive leaders and captains be like, yo, we need Jimmy to play?
And that's what I'm getting to. Because for whatever reason they restructured the deal, we are assuming that Trey Lance will be the week 1 starting quarterback. Now, how much rope? Because they got a playoff contending football team. How much rope do they give Trey Lance to have the season on his arm and his legs to figure out either he's getting the job done or he's not ready? And this is the problem I have with this franchise quarterback tag that they want to always say he's a franchise guy. No, he's a starting quarterback.
Is he that though? We don't even know if he's that yet.
I'm just saying in general. I don't like the term franchise quarterback because you're just gonna give him, you're just gonna anoint him.
But that's organizational arrogance right there.
Throughout the league though.
Yeah.
That's throughout the league.
And that needs to stop. But San Francisco 49ers are a prime example of that because they traded up and spent this draft capital to take this dude number 2. For whatever playbook that these organizations playing, that automatically means that he's got to start and we got to go with him despite what has happened in the team we got right now. That's just asinine to me. That don't make sense.
I got so many different ways of looking at this. There's so many questions about that. But the reason why I brought it up was because I believe that when it's all said and done, the 49ers will be happy that they restructured this deal. Because I believe you're going to need Jimmy Garoppolo before it's all said and done.
And I believe
that's what I believe.
But then, let's look at it from the other lens, Trey Lance. So Trey Lance starts the season. He's not getting the job done. They go back to Jimmy G. So now what does that put Trey Lance? Do Trey Lance get the job back next year? Or do they re-sign Jimmy G and they run it back with Jimmy G? Where does that put Trey? They opened up a can of worms by doing this.
Well,
I'm glad it's not our team. Yeah. But they put themselves in the pickle.
I'm just the type of guy that you got to prove it on the field. And in my opinion, yes, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't win the Super Bowl. He was maybe one big throw away from beating the Chiefs a couple years ago. He had a drop touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
If he completes that pass, or if that receiver catches that pass, he might be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But for nothing else, he's played in the Super Bowl. He's won an NFC Championship game. He's played in 2. So, gotta be careful. You gotta be careful because in Chicago, we got rid of a coach, which is Lovie Smith. They had won 10 games. Mm-hmm. It took us forever to win another 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So this is what I'm saying. Jimmy G is a proven commodity, and you're going to get rid of a proven commodity for the potential. It's a good thing, in my opinion, that they still have him around, and I think that's how this season going to play out for the 49ers. It's going to be a good thing. And then it might serve them there where Jimmy G will be a little bit more of a trade option.
Right.
Maybe even Trey Lance. Because they can't coexist. They both can't coexist.
We know that. We know it. Right. We know that. And it's just, again, I don't understand the thinking. Okay, I get it. Let's just say Trey Lance was Deshaun Watson when he came out of Clemson. You still got Jimmy G, but you also drafted Deshaun Watson. Okay, Deshaun Watson went to 2 national championships and beat arguably a pro football team to get one of them, right? Mm-hmm. Trey Lance was at North Dakota State. Now I'm not saying, we not knocking that, but that's not quote unquote big boy college football.
Yeah.
We have not seen Trey Lance versus the Ohio States and the Alabamas of the world. So now he's playing the biggest of big boy football. And you just hand him the job.
That's what I'm saying. So In my years of youth coaching, which is I coach basketball, it's all about competition.
Mm-hmm.
And the practice thing is one thing, but when the lights on, it's totally different. And I just think, like I say again, I just think the 49ers will be glad in 4 to 8 weeks that they still have Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. Because like you say again, you may have a little bit more faith in Trey Lance had he played the big boys in college.
Yes.
But yet you still can't discredit what Jimmy Garoppolo has done at this level.
Yes.
So I just think, like I say again, I just think they'll be happy to have him around in about 4 to 8 weeks. They'll truly know his value on that roster, as well as for having an idea of what Trey Lance's value to that roster is going to be, because we know that the both of them cannot coexist on the team.
Yeah.
And I think maybe by mid-season, if Trey Lance is playing well, then Jimmy might get moved.
Well, he got to. He got to. This is a franchise polarizing decision that they made. They're either going to take off and they're going to actually get a Super Bowl out of this, or it's going to tear the team up. It's going to be reminiscent of Beast Mode, the second Super Bowl. When they didn't give him that ball and they didn't win that Super Bowl, that tore that team up. And they started shipping off pieces, tearing down the defense. They ain't got back to the Super Bowl since. They ain't even got Russell Wilson no more.
That's true. You're true with that, but to ask Trey Lance to take them to the Super Bowl,
I ain't saying he got to do it this year.
yeah, they got to see progress. They're kind of in the same situation with a different roster.
Yeah.
Trey Lance is in the same situation Justin Fields is in, but he's got a more talented roster with a team that's ready, so-called ready to win. A really good defense. You got pieces on offense. And
they believe in the running game.
So how long do you give him to say he ain't getting the job done, he wasting the talent around us because he's not mature, he's not ready? I say 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. So 4 to 6 weeks, we'll know.
Definitely mid-season.
Yeah, we'll know.
Definitely
I don't think they got that long. 8 weeks might be too late. 4 to 6 weeks.
And you in the division with the Rams.
Yeah, 4 to 6
you
weeks.
And the Cardinals got probably one of the best offensive units in the league. Shout out to Kyler Murray and not reading the playbook that you're supposed to, but anyway. That's other than Seattle. Those other 3 teams, you got the defending champions in the Rams, San Francisco 49ers, who was in the NFC Championship, who the Rams beat to get to the Super Bowl, and you got the Cardinals, who was a playoff team last year. You like you said, 8 weeks might be too late.
Most definitely it is if you're not playing well.
Yeah.
And they're already down week 1 because they're going to lose to the Bears. So, 0-1 for the 49ers,
Yep.
105 Bears, get ready to go to Green Bay in week 2. We'll get at you. I think right now we're wide on the limb about the Bears beating the 49ers.
Just for week 1. We ain't going to be, buying Super Bowl tickets.
And we don't even know the starting offensive line. We don't know who going. We don't. I mean, Roquan ain't played the game. But look, I'm going with the Bears by 3.
Bears
You heard it
17
here first.
Yeah.
Watch the game, and we'll tell you all about it when you get back.
Yes, sir.